Yes, sir. That was one and only Mr. Stevie Wonder. As we said yesterday, uh, written down in the pages of Rolling Stone as the number one R&B artist ever. And for all the reasons we discussed yesterday, we don't disagree with that. But right about now, we're going to change the tone a little bit. We're going to bring in one of the number one voices in jazz, although this gentleman is not a vocalist, but he is definitely a proponent of jazz and one of the biggest voices for music in the city of Philadelphia. He's also, I believe, served as the president of the Philadelphia chapter of the Grammys. Mr. Gerald Veasley is with us because coming up on Friday, he is curating Jazz Under the Stars at the Mann. How are you, sir?
Raymond, I am doing so well. I'm so excited to be with you to talk about Jazz Under the Stars. It's kicking off this season with one of my good friends, a Noah artist that you know and love, Kim Waters. So excited to tell your audience about that.
Well, this will be my first time having the opportunity to see Kim Waters live, but I'm going to give people a taste. After we're done this interview, I'm
Okay.
going to share Kim Waters and you, or you and Kim Waters' interpretation of just the two of us.
Ooh, nice. Okay, I want to hear that myself. You know, Kim and I both share a love of Grover Washington Jr. Of course, I recorded and toured with Grover for a number of years. So Kim represents that next generation of artists who came after Grover, and now he's a legend in his own right. And so on July 11th, your audience will get a chance to see us playing together, which is always fantastic. And I'll also open up the evening with my band. Showtime starts at 8 p.m. And if you've never been to the Mann is one of the crown jewels of the city. And we call our event Jazz Under the Stars because it is open air, it's fully covered, rain or shine, the show will go on. But it's intimate, it's a great atmosphere, and we do something really unique, Raymond, which is we take that giant man stage and we create a jazz club. So the audience comes and sits right there on the stage surrounding the artist.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Was that your idea? Because I understand you, the man actually asked you to curate a jazz atmosphere for the ticket holders.
Yeah, so that particular idea is an extension of something they had already done as part of the Downstage series. But bringing in jazz, you know, the man has a storied history of all kinds of music, but we thought it was time to bring emphasis back to jazz. And so it's been a really great relationship. So they do adopt some of the ideas that I have, including they give me a lot of free reign to bring in the artists that are friends of mine. And so, and to bring my band, and we have an audience, the Philadelphia audience. People come from Philadelphia, but from far and wide to experience the music because the man itself, as I said, is a real crown jewel and a destination. They're great partners, and I don't want to forget about our next show. So we're starting off with Kim Waters, but in August 23rd, it's my good friend Keiko Matsui. That's our next artist for the series.
Okay. And she is a consummate pianist.
I agree. I totally agree. She's a
All right.
fantastic artist.
Yes, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Light right here on the mighty 91.7 WLFR Pomona. And I happen to be here with the one and only Mr. Gerald Veasley. Gerald, are you originally from Philadelphia? Because that's where I've run into you most often. And
Yeah.
matter of fact, a while ago when I was a member of the Grammy Awards Philadelphia chapter, that's where I first met you. Are you originally a Philly native?
I am, and Philly has been just a very supportive home for me. I'm a lifelong Philadelphian. I will say that, you know, I've traveled the world and have admired places and people everywhere, but there's something about Philadelphia, of course, the music, the love of culture. It's a great community. So I love coming home. So that's why the Man series is so important to me. I kind of grew up in that same neighborhood where the Man is situated. And so the Man is part of the Jazz Under the Stars. It's also a way to reach in and embrace the community that's right there in West Philadelphia.
Yes. So once again, this Friday, it's Jazz Under the Stars with Gerald Veasley and also Kim Waters. Um, and I was just about to ask you how important is it for you to be coming home, but you already answered that. Was will this be a regular event?
It's a great question. So this is actually our third season of Jazz Under the Stars. We've had folks like Rick Braun, Peter White, Mesa, Eric Darius. So we intend to continue every summer to offer these really unique experiences. It's usually a combination of a featured artist and my band. And also we've had some wonderful surprise guest artists. And so this Friday we have a something that's not even been advertised, but we'll have a wonderful artist by the name of Frederic Yannet, who's an incredible French harmonica musician who, to say harmonica doesn't do it any justice, but if you can imagine that Stevie Wonder sound, but with a jazz approach. So he'll be a surprise special guest this Friday as well. So yeah, this is our third season. And the Mann Center for the Performing Arts has been incredibly supportive.
Okay, now I also understand that part of what you've done is that you've offered some young people a master class. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Oh, yes. So the Mann Center has something called a COSA, which is a summer academy, and it's free for students ages grades 6 through 12 from the school district. So this particular week happens to be a COSA Jazz Week, and the culmination is Friday. So all throughout this week, there's classes on composition, there's small ensemble rehearsals, guest workshops. And tomorrow, in fact, the jazz trumpeter, composer, and director, my good friend Josh Lawrence, is leading a workshop for students. So the Man has put a commitment not only in presenting music, but also in inspiring and teaching the next generation. And so the final culminating performance, which will invite all of the students, families, and friends, that happens Friday for our concert from 4 to 5 p.m. So I'm excited to be involved, but I think I have to give up my hats off to the folks behind the scenes who make this Jazz Week happen.
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Light right here on the Mighty 91.7 WLFR promoter. My very special guest is jazz bass guitarist Gerald Veasley. Uh, you just talked a little bit about the young people that you're working with. I know personally, when I do a poetry workshop and I come across a child or a young person, or even somebody who didn't really know they had a little bit of skill, and then they shine brightly, it just excites me. Do you have any stories, or do you have any young people who you're working with who you feel, okay, they're going to be on stage in a couple years at the Man themselves?
That's a great question. I have been an educator. I taught at the University of the Arts here in Philadelphia for, oh man, a couple decades. And what always excited me were those aha moments where you almost alluded to it when you were talking about you have a young person you're working with and their eyes light up because you just introduced them to a concept or an idea and they're taking it and running with it. That is really for educators and people like me who like to give back. That's our fuel to keep us going. So I've had a number of students who have gone on to do great things. One of my bass students, Gabe Gabriel Severin is he's now the bass player for Sheila E. I've had bass players go on to one of our students at UArts who also attended something called the Bass Boot Camp. Adam Blackstone, who was already a brilliant musician, even as a young person. Now he's been the music director for the Super Bowl and for people like Jay-Z and all numbers of people, and is a now Grammy nominated and Grammy award winning artist in his own right. So there's so many of those stories, and I think the most gratifying things about that is that kids and young people have dreams, and we have to be able to support their dreams. Sometimes it's doing something that's very deliberate, pointing them in the right direction, giving them resources. But sometimes it's just encouragement. It's just enough to say, hey, I see you and I hear you. You've got something special.
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Light. We are here with the one and only Gerald Veasley. Coming up Friday, July 11th, he'll be at the Mann with a special guest, Kim Waters, and they'll be giving you jazz under the stars. Now, let me take you back just a little bit and
Mhm.
give you an opportunity to brag on somebody else before we get back into your story. Is there somebody in your past who saw a young Gerald Veasley and said, okay, I want to open a door for him?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Thank you for asking that question because it gives me a chance to brag about someone who truly took me under his wing, and that was my uncle, the late great gospel singer Ira Tucker. Ira Tucker
Whoa,
was,
whoa, 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 whoa. Ira Tucker, the Ira Tucker from the Dixie Hummingbirds.
yes, he's responsible for everything that I am as a musician because when my father passed away, he said, I'm your dad now. And I was like, what do you mean by that? But what he did was when I was a really young man, just getting started, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, he brought me into the recording studio and I recorded 9 or 10 albums with him where he was producing music as well as singing. And he always gave me so much advice and encouragement and also took time to kind of also listen to what I was might have been struggling with or ideas that I had, or even I could go with him to him for personal advice or personal questions or issues. So he launched everything. And then I'm grateful to say I've had some other mentors in the business, of course, people like Grover Washington Jr., people like Joe Zawinul from Weather Report, John Blake, Odine Pope. The list goes on and on. And the last thing I'll say about this is, those folks have also taught me how to be a mentor to others.
Wow. That's incredible. Listen, uh, I got to take you to lunch just to hear some more Ira Tucker stories because that was a staple in my household. The great Dixie Hummingbirds. And for people who don't know, first of all, I'm gonna give people a real quick lesson. Bear with me.
Yeah,
First
please.
of all, they were like the father of quartet groups, all of them. Like they were before the Soul Stirrers, uh, the
Mighty Clouds of Joy.
oh, the Nightingales, and all of it started with Ira Tucker and the
Yes,
Dixie Hummingbirds.
that's
So
right.
that's number one. By extension, a little while earlier, I was playing boy bands. You don't
Oh,
get to boy bands without the Dixie Hummingbirds. Now, this is the last story I'm going to tell you, and this is a true story. I interviewed a young man a few years ago named Otis Williams, who has a group called The Temptations. I really think The Temptations are going to be big one day, so you heard it here first. And he's told me that The Temptations were almost late for their own gig that they were doing in Philly because they went to go see Ira Tucker and the Dixie Hummingbirds. They stayed so long, they were almost late for their own gig.
Thank you for sharing. I never heard that story, and that just makes me so proud because I mean, my uncle and that group, they really changed the world and created another style of singing. Their harmonies were legendary, and they called Uncle Ira the man with the $1 million voice because this legend goes they offered him $1 million if he would just sing R&B, but he wanted to stay true to his art form. But he influenced so many singers on both in the gospel and the secular music world.
You're listening to the light. We're here with You're listening to the light, and we are here with Gerald Veasley, and he's going to be appearing with his band uh, at Jazz Under the Stars over at the Mann this coming Friday. And then August 23rd, is it?
That's right. Yes, August 23rd.
Third, he'll be back with, oh, what's the lady's name again?
Yep, Keiko Matsui. She's a Japanese pianist, award-winning pianist who worked with Hugh Masekela and Stevie Wonder and so many great folks, and has had so many Billboard hits, and is a good friend of mine. And as a pianist, she's someone who takes all of her classical training and pours it through jazz, and has created a unique sound that's all her own.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So we're here with Gerald Veasley, and coming up Friday, he's at the Mann. The doors open at 7, and the
Uh,
show starts at 8. Am I correct?
that's correct. And here's another something else your audience would be interested in. First of all, it's rain or shine. It's a fully covered um, venue. So even though it's outdoors, so rain is not an issue, and it's at the TD Pavilion, which is amazing. So the production team takes that TD Pavilion and they convert it into a real jazz club experience. It's intimate. The audience sits there on that huge stage, sits there surrounding the musicians on the stage. And here's the thing that I like: parking is free. So have great entertainment, you have legendary artists appearing, and it's an atmosphere that I think is just perfectly suited for a nice summer evening.
Yes, indeed. So locally, I'll say this. If you remember how we used to do it on Wednesday nights over at the Yacht Club, he's talking about an intimate experience where you can be close enough to smell, hear, see the
Yeah.
entire band. And if you're from Philly and you never been to the Yacht Club, remember Natalie's?
Oh yeah. Oh man, you're taking us back. Those are all, Philly has had some legendary venues. Of course, now I'm doing work with South. I've been there almost 10 years curating music. And we got Chris's Jazz Cafe, and you remember back in the day, you had places like Zanzibar Blue, yeah, and then before my time, you had Peps and Showboat. So
Oh,
all
wow.
of this is in
Wow.
the spirit of the man continuing that legacy of venues where people could come and hear great jazz.
I heard you guys are going to call it the Clef Club South.
Ah, the Clef Club is another amazing institution, and they, like so many of the Philadelphia institutions, have done a lot to uplift musicians, cultivate audiences, and also, as the man is doing with his educational programming, passing the torch to the next generation.
Yes, indeed. We are just about out of time. So I want to say again, this coming Friday, Gerald Veasley, award-winning bass guitarist, will be at the Mann live with saxophonist Kim Waters, doing a very special and intimate jazz set, Jazz Under the Stars. Get there early. Parking is free, and you'll be right there on stage with the band. What more can you want? What more can they want, Gerald?
They can't want any more, but if they want more, just talk to me. I'll be there listening. And if for ticket information, they can go to the mancenter.org is the website, and they can get all the information they need about tickets. And I really appreciate talking to you. We gotta do this offline and just chat some more, or have to come visit again. Because man, you're bringing back so many great memories. And here's the thing: we want to create more memories at the Man.
So what has to happen is you have to get in your car and come here
Yeah.
and sit in for the entire show.
Oh
We
man.
can do some Philly music from uh, from the arpeggio all the way up through Pearl Bailey. And matter of fact, shout out to my people at the African American Museum of Philadelphia. I think tomorrow or next week they have a special presentation about their Pearl Bailey exhibit
Mm.
coming up. We can listen to some Pearl Bailey, definitely some Gerald Veasley, uh, and then go into some Ira Tucker, some Dixie Hummingbirds. When it comes to
Love
music, man, I'm I'm in there. I'm definitely in there, and I'm always open. So yeah, we'd love to
that.
have you come, or uh, you can invite me to the studio, and we can do something there. Just chop it up, or we could just have lunch, whatever. At any rate, I
Love it.
thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you.
Before I get into the this version of just the two of us with you and Kim Waters, is there anything you want to say before I let you go?
No, I just first of all express my gratitude for being on your show to be able to talk to your audience about Jazz Under the Stars at the Man. It's the support of people like you and your audience that makes all of this work. I truly believe that jazz is an art form that continues to thrive because of the support we get. And man, it is alive and well at the Man. So again, just to remind folks where they can get tickets, mancenter.org. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to
My,
be with us.
my pleasure.
All right, you are listening to The Light right here on the mighty 91.7 WLFR Pomona. My name is